Hello, beautiful leaders. It's Coach Tish here coming to you on this awesome and amazing Monday. And I've got my green smoothies. Not so green because I use cherries today, but you get the idea. It's got greens in it. We're talking about freedom. We also want to make sure we free our bodies. So I have at least one of those every day. So let's hop to it. I'm not going to be before you long because, as promised, is the lunch and learn. And so I know that most of you are on your lunch hours. And so I want to make sure that we're able to hit these points, hit it and quit it, and let you get back to your desk in time to cultivate these thoughts, so that you can document them in your journey, in your journal, and so that you can get back to work, right? Because it's Monday. Most people hate Mondays. I personally love Mondays. When I was working full time, what I realized is if I did not work on myself, if I didn't improve myself on Mondays, hey Virginia, if I did not focus on improving myself on Mondays, by the time Friday rolled around and the weekend, I was spent. I was like toe up from the flow up. I ain't have nothing left to give to myself, to my own goals, to my own business, to my own personal stuff, right? If I didn't kick off the week right on Mondays, and excuse the garbage can, if I didn't kick off the week right on Mondays, hitting it hard, right? Then basically my whole week was gone. By the time Friday rolled around, I was tired, I was exhausted, I was spent, right? And so I want that to not be your truth. And so let's go ahead and hit it and quit it so that your Monday can be awesome and amazing. So today's topic is all about what is stopping Black women from our freedom. Now, hopefully you have watched all of the other Freedom Foundations courses, classes, lunch and learns for the month of April, right? We had this nice little diagram here talking about what are the requirements for freedom. So first we talked about fear, right? So freedom requires fear. Then we talked about faith. And then last but not least, friends, right? So freedom requires fear, faith, and friends. So you get more details about those on the lunch and learn. So even though we have the information, right? Because we know, if you know, like I know, Black women are some of the most educated, right? We're the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. We have the most degrees in education and training, right? But what is holding us from creating a true sense of freedom for ourselves? What's preventing us from really feeling free, feeling like we have control over our time, right? Time freedom, so feeling like we have control over our money, so much financial freedom, right? What is actually preventing us from feeling free? Well, let me tell you what I think, right? My experience. When I first really started tapping into this whole idea of freedom, it really took a whole new mindset. Right? At the time, I was working my job. I had a good job. I was making more money than I'd ever made. I was making more money than most people in my family, right? But I wasn't satisfied. I had all of the so-called tokens of success, everything that I grew up hearing and seeing on TV that would create happiness for myself, but it didn't, right? I had the degree, I had the job, I had a nice car, I lived in a nice neighborhood, I lived in one of the richest counties in America, right? Howard County. If you live in Maryland, you know about Howard County, right? I had a 7-minute commute to my day job. I had love in my life. And by all intents and purposes, it looked like I had it going on. Well, for the most part, I did. As a matter of fact, if you are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I had all of the bottom 3. I'm going to show those to you now, right? So the bottom 3, I had security, right? My physiological stuff. I felt, I had food. I could afford food. I could afford housing. I could afford the best housing, right? I had people around me, right? So I felt safe. I had a secure job. I was working in higher education, and I had love in my life. I felt like I was a part of the community. People knew my name. Now, Maslow's hierarchy says, now, if you have these basic needs, right? Your basic needs met, this is majority of the population. What I realized, though, is these basic needs. Now, you'll see there's some gaps up here at the top, right? This is Maslow now. Now, I had my basic needs met, right? In accordance with my family and everything that I knew and all the people where I come from, my basic needs were already being met. So you would think that I would be good, but I wasn't. I felt like there had to be more to life. There had to be something other than what I was doing, right? There had to be more than just me going to the same job day in, day out, talking to the same students about the same stuff, right? I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't feeling like this was my life's purpose. I wasn't feeling like this is what I was supposed to be doing with my life. I wasn't feeling like this is what God called me to do, that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, even though I had my basic needs met. Right? I had a house. I could afford clothing. I had hired, if you remember anything I was talking about last year, I had hired a housekeeper. I had hired a professional organizer. I had a bookkeeper. I had somebody working on my credit, right? I had virtual assistants in the Philippines. I had everything you would think. And I thought, I'm like, yo, I'm good. But what I soon realized or grew to realize was, this is not enough. Like, this shit is cool, but it's not enough. And so if you are familiar with Abraham Maslow, I think that's his name, but he talks about once you have your basic needs, right? Once you have your basic needs met, then you begin looking into higher order thoughts. You start thinking about what else is there to life. Now, in our families, this is typically all our families needed, right? Most of us come from families and generations where if you had a house, if you had a car, if you had a good job, you was good to go. And if you come from a family like mine, they looking at you like you crazy. if you was looking for anything other than that, anything outside of that, right? My family, they didn't quite like verbalize what they thought, but I knew they was thinking I was kind of crazy because I had been all over the world, lived all over the country, right? And I had a lot of international friends. Like, most of my friends are from the Caribbean, from Nigeria, Sierra Leone, right? I got friends from like everywhere who are like that's where their family's from. So they're also first generation. So within their families, it was the same thing. As long as they had a house, a roof over their head, they had a nice job, and they had, children, they had family, they was good. Like, there was nothing else to it. Well, I knew that there had to be more. And amongst most of my friends, I was the weird one, right? Because I was looking for more. I was not satisfied with just having a good job and a nice house and a nice car. I didn't have children or anything. So, I didn't have that to take over my life, or that to put my energy toward. So all of my energy was directed back toward me. Like, okay, how do I reach my best self? How do I become my highest self? Right? And one of the first things that Maslow talks about is the next level. Once you feel like you belong to a community, once you feel like you have your health and your safety and your employment is secure, once you feel like, okay, I'm good, I'm eating, I got clothes, I'm good in these levels. The very next thing that, according to Maslow, we start looking at are the things that address our esteem, right? Our esteem, meaning our self-esteem, meaning how we look within our communities, right? How do we create status or recognition within our communities? How do we look? I wish I could remember that scripture from Proverbs 31 about how the woman was looked upon with gladness or something. I wish I could remember the scripture, but basically, once we have our basic needs met, right, then we start looking for ways that we can have more respect within our communities, right? So once you have your base, this is when we typically start looking for higher titles, right? We start looking for jobs that give us a little bit more responsibility, jobs that carry, that will fulfill us a little bit more. Well, within my job, where I was working, I already was kind of at the top, right? There was not too much further for me to go. And so what I instead began doing is focusing on, okay, well, I've reached my limit at my day job. How can I create some other opportunities for myself within my business, right? So I began doing things like really putting more effort and energy into building my business. And it was going well. I've launched the Coach Your Damn Self Challenge, where we had over 2,000 women sign up. I did a 3-city book tour. I was doing all of these things. I sold out my first book signing. I launched the Authors Academy, where we were helping women write their first books. I launched another membership program where we were helping women start their coaching businesses. By all intents and purposes, everything looked amazing, right? Until around October. From January to about September 2017, we was rocking and rolling. I had a list of goals that I wanted to achieve for 2017, and every month we was rolling them out, knocking them down like dominoes. And October came, and what I did not even realize, this is what's crazy. Now, I told you last year I had all of these people on the team, right? I had a therapist, I had a house cleaner, professional organizer, bookkeeper, virtual assistants, all of these people who were working with me. And it wasn't until October came around, when I was going for the entire year, that I got sat down. And I mean, like, sat down, like my body was like, chick, we ain't doing much. And so in our community, getting sat down don't look the way that it look in other communities, right? In other communities, you get sat down and, they might be crying or broke down or not getting out of bed for 5, 6, 7, 8 days, right? But in our community, it don't really quite work like that, right? My sat down, because I'm living in Maryland, I ain't got no family in Maryland. So my sat down, I still had to get up and go to work every day. But my sat down on the weekends looked like I wasn't leaving the house. On the weekends, I wasn't cleaning up, right? On the weekends, I was eating lots of ice cream, Ben and Jerry's in particular, and drinking lots of wine, Moscato in particular, right? So my sat down looked like I did not have the energy or desire to do any of the things that required anything other than the minimal effort, right? So my job, like I said, I had a job that was taking care of all of my needs. So I wasn't worried about, I need to go to my part-time job or something else, right? I had a job that, paid my car note, paid my car insurance, paid my rent, right? But anything other than that, I just didn't have the energy to do. Well, it took me a couple of months. And after a few months, maybe 1 month, Thanksgiving rolled around. And I said, okay, I'm still, even though I've been sat down for the past month, I'm still not quite feeling like myself. And I don't know what this is. So I've done everything that I know to do. I've journaled. I've talked to the therapist. I don't know what else to do. And so what I did was, I said, okay, well, I'm going to hire a nutritionist and a personal trainer. At the very least, I can start getting some of this weight up off me, right? So that's what I did. I hired a nutritionist and a personal trainer. Oh, and I started talking to a new guy. Let me be for real, okay? So I started talking to a new guy, hired a nutritionist and a personal trainer. And slowly but surely, the new guy who I was talking to was also a coach. And so one of the things that he told me he had all of his clients do was to journal every day. And so me, being the natural competitive kind of person I am, I'm like, well, if your clients do it, hell, I'm going to do it too. Right? He said he journaled every day. So I'm like, well, I'm a journal every day, right? Your client's not going to be better than my clients. So I started journaling, right? So I'm journaling every day. I've got a nutritionist. I'm working out. I'm eating well, right? And around January, I started coming out of my funk, started coming out of this sat down period. And so coming out of the sat down period, I started reevaluating what all I was doing with my life and what all did I want to keep and what did I want to get rid of. And so in that process, what I started really looking at was, what is the deeper purpose of my life? Like, what am I really here for? I know I'm not here to be sat down, right? And so according to Maslow, right, he talks about this final level of development. Let me show you. The final level of development, he refers to as self-actualization. That's when your basic needs have been met, when your food is taken care of, your shelter is taken care of, your employment is secure, you belong to a community, you got people around you who love you. Now you got a position in life, in work. People respect you. Folk recognize you on the street, right? Once you have all of that, then you reach the highest level of personal development, and he calls it self-actualization. That's when you really begin reaching everything that you could ever desire to become, right? This is when you really start desiring deeply to have a higher purpose for yourself. And this is where most of us are. Most of us. But because we come from families where, let me show this here, right? Because we come from families where we only had our basic, we're like first generation self-actualizers, right? So we come from families where the people are like, girl, you got a good job, you got a husband, you got a nice car, you live in a nice neighborhood. Like, what else do you want? Right? Because we come from families where that's typically the highest levels that they've reached, right? They don't understand when you are looking for true freedom, right? And because we come from families where this is basically the bare necessities have been met, when we have already exceeded the bare necessities and we're not dead yet, right? Because that's typically what used to happen. Back in the day, by the time you reached all of this, you was about to die. You had a good family, you had safety, you wasn't worried about where you was going to get your next meal. You wasn't worried about keeping a roof over your head. By the time you got here, you was about dead. Right? That's how it used to be. And now in 2018, most of us got office jobs. So we're not doing hard labor. We're not killing ourselves, right? So now we've got positions. We got, respect in the community. So now when we're looking for self-actualization, we don't know what that means. We don't even realize, right? And like Lauren said, absolutely, retirement. Typically, by the time you got up here where you was respected in the community, you was about retired and it was time for you to die. Most of us are in our 30s and 40s and we've reached this place. The height of what our parents said was where we was looking for. The height of what the Cosbys had, what Murphy, what was it? Murphy Brown, Law and Order, Living Single, right? We have reached the epitome in our at 35, 36, 40, 42, 45, right? We've reached the heights and we still got 30 or 40 years to go. And we like, this can't be the end of it, right? And so what we realize and what we don't realize is that now we're looking for a greater purpose in our lives. We're looking for something deeper. We're not looking for just money because we making money already. We like, I need more than just money. Like, I need something that fulfills me. And so this self-actualization piece, that's really us now beginning to look at, okay, so how do I become the absolute best version of myself? And we may not even have it in those words. All we know is we're thinking there's got to be something more. There's got to be something better than this. This can't be it. What else am I looking for? And because within our community, we're not used to the personal development space, because this is where personal development comes in, right? Personal development is a $13 billion with a B dollar industry, $13 billion industry. And most of the people who are delivering personal development, who are helping folks get to their highest heights, do not look like you and me. They do not. Because remember, we are part of the first crop of Black folks who are going beyond simply bare necessities, the bare essentials. We're the first crop. We're like trailblazers in that way. So we don't even realize what self-actualization is and what that looks like, right? We don't even realize. So when people talk to us about limiting beliefs, it's like, what does that mean? Right? Limiting beliefs are the things that the ways that we look at the world based on our personal experiences as well as the experiences that our parents had that were handed down to us, that we basically said, I'm going to live my best life in spite of what you all are saying, right? So I'm a first generation college student, first generation entrepreneur, first one to go to grad school in my family. So in order for me to get to this place, I had to start looking at, okay, what kind of things did my parents tell me that I believed, but then kind of decided that I would live in spite of? Right now, we are at the 20-minute mark, so I'm not going to stay before you long. But if you want to learn exactly what it takes to begin now identifying what self-actualization is, sign up for the workshop. We've got a workshop, completely free workshop, 3-part workshop, all about taking yourself to the next level. It's called Coach Your Damn Self, right? Because I realize that there's a whole lot of coaches out here that don't know how to get to the highest level, right? They don't know how to. And honestly, a lot of us don't trust them, and I don't trust them either. So that's why I want to show you how you can take yourself to the next level, right? So sign up. We've got a workshop coming up. It's May 1st, right? And it's called Coach Your Damn Self. One of the key things that I will tell you up front when it comes to really living your highest heights and taking yourself to your highest levels, it's really now all about giving back to those who are coming up from behind us. And in a whole lot of ways, what that means is taking everything that we've learned, all the education that we have, all the experience and expertise that we've gathered, and then beginning to package that in such a way that those of us who look like us, right, who are coming up, your 20-year-olds, your teenagers who are going into college, right, the 30-year-olds, those who are maybe in our same circles who are feeling this but don't know what it is. They're all waiting for you to get to this place and begin working on yourself. So now you've got resources and tools that you can say, girl, let me tell you about this workshop I went to. Let me tell you about this retreat that I went to. Let me tell you about this book that I read, right? The May 1st workshop is really all about getting you into this place where you are now beginning to tap into what you feel like your higher calling is and what you were actually sent here to do, right? This is your real work, that self-actualization, because now we're not doing hard labor. We're not in the fields no more, right? We've got desk jobs. We're kind of comfortable. We got good jobs. We drive Lexuses and Mercedes and the Benz, right? And the BMWs, right? The Infinities. We got nice cars. We live in nice neighborhoods, and we still feel like there is something missing. And there is. And on May 1st, I want to start showing you exactly how you figure it out, how you tap into that for yourself. So I'm going to place the link somewhere in this video. Check it out. And if you have not signed up, just go to Coach Your Damn Self. www.coachyadamn self.com, and you can sign up for the workshop. We're going to talk about how to take what all you've learned and start packaging it up so that you can now serve your community, the people who are coming behind you, because that's really where we at, y'all. The reason that we have not achieved the level of freedom that we are looking for, especially within our communities, is because we were trying to find it within the capsule of our jobs, even though we know it's not there. There's not a whole lot of people who look like us, women who look like us, who are saying, hey, boo, there's actually another level after this, right? Because we grew up here and go to college, get a good job, get married, have children, right? There's another level, and that next level is packaging now all the theories that we read, right, that we are now looking, that we're operating under, and the things that we're doing, and we go to work and we like, this damn manager do not know what the hell she's talking about, right? Now it is officially our turn. If you've been in school and been in the workforce for at least for more than 20 years, I started working when I was 14, and most of the women I know did too. If you've been in the workforce for at least 20 years, you got something to add and something to offer. And so I want to begin showing you how to, what are the steps necessary so we can start being the next phase of theorists, the next phase of authors, the next phase of teachers, the next phase of whatever it is you feel that you've been called to do, in such a way that we can now create companies, not just businesses, y'all, but companies, right? In our community, what we consider volunteering and mentoring in the for-profit world, they call that volunteering that we love to do. They call it brand building. And that mentoring that we love, they call that coaching and consulting. And so the way that we match our salaries and so that we make sure that we continue feeling safe and secure and keeping a roof over our head is taking some of the stuff that we already do for free and now finding the people who are willing to pay a fee for those things, for those skills, for those gifts, for those qualities that we've invested so much in learning. And now we can begin giving back to our communities and building the schools and the things that we see our communities need. So sign up for the Coach Your Damn Self workshop that's happening on May 1st. And I cannot wait to see you there. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace. Oh, and if this was helpful, share it with a friend. Hit the share button. I'm going to holler at y'all later.